Okay. Again, thank you everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. Thank you everyone. Okay. Thank you very much for participating. Okay. Today again we're going to discuss the teaching of the gracious teacher Buddha Shakyamuni. But to begin this, always in the teaching said that we should activate our beautiful motivations. Those are the teaching famous tantra known as the Dorje Tsemo. Dorje Tsemo mentioned condensed all the conceptions or thought, and give up, not condensed, give up all the conceptions of thought, and listen, reflecting carefully the teaching. If somehow we disregarded and neglected that, and even the Buddha Vajrakilaya will have difficulty to bless those people who are distracted and negligent. So that's really the teaching says. So therefore, always, whenever we are reflecting of the teaching by the studying, contemplating, meditating, and practicing, always activated motivation is so important. Among the motivation, good motivation. What is good motivation? Joy, appreciation, devotion, and feel the preciousness feelings. Really feeling of the preciousness. Our life is precious. Teaching is precious. Lineage is precious. Situation, time, and circumstance are precious. All the precious things are gathered in our sight for us. How wonderful, how beautiful, really. Have the determination, courage, and commitment, our should activate the teaching, not just only the reading and following that, but going to practice. Observe that in heart, feel that strongly heart, order to purpose the benefit for all living beings, helping for all the beings. That attitude is so important. If we have that attitude, in the teaching said, if you have the good heart and good intention, that everything will turn into the good. If somehow, if we don't have the good intention or neglected that, even we doing good practice, it's just not going exactly on the right directions. So therefore, it is to activate it is so important. The activate. And then teaching itself, in the Buddha teaching, there is two teachings, known as the Buddha's teachings, scriptural teaching and commentary teachings. So these two, scriptural teaching, which is the gracious Buddha Shakyamuni taught from age 35 till age 82 or 81. All those teachings about Buddha, spoken teaching by Buddha, is known as scriptural teachings. And then later on, great masters made the commentaries, wrote commentaries on the Buddha teaching. Those are known as the commentary teachings. Among those two teachings, what we are going to discuss today is commentary teaching, in a way. And who wrote this teaching? Is a gracious and famous great master and a realized being or realized master known as His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche, commonly and generally, regularly, Jabje Dudjom Rinpoche. He wrote this. He wrote so many commentaries and sadhana that are connected with the teaching of the great teacher Buddha Shakyamuni and Guru Pema Sambhava, over 25 volumes. And among that, just one of the teachings that I'm picked up and thought we present to you all, and at the same time, reminded to myself too. We all are followers of the Buddha, Guru Pema Sambhava, His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche or Jabje Dudjom Rinpoche. They're reminding to each other to activate, re-strengthening our practice. Re-strengthening our practice is really very important. So I thought that this, among all the many great teachings, I picked up this one teaching and then made valuable to you by the assistance of our Sangha members, Pith and the other Sangha members who really helped to put together and present to you that. So that's what the teaching is. That. And now this teaching, we started with here, and again, as you said, I'm adding also a few things because I'm going to go over these teachings according as much as I can, kind of go a little bit extensively that which will benefit to us, to all of us. So I'm going to do that, but at the same time, I thought maybe if I able to put that in this together, that will help you all to understanding more kind of easily know that what I'm following that. So I put those the additional things, which is also teaching of the Buddha and other great masters. And that is again we started with page 10 here, page 10, and that's the text. And here I said, Pith instruction to my friend. That is His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche said. This is his friend. And particularly, he has so many disciples. Among that, this teaching is requested by two individuals. He named at the end of this colophon, which is known as Tsewang and Chotrams, I think. Two people insisted, please give some Pith instructions. So His Holiness gave these teachings specifically to that person, but also it is to all of us, not just to this individual. Here's to my friends, instruction to my friend. My friend is, of course, one way is just a very kind of personal two things. But according to Vajrayana teaching, in the Buddha teaching, all the sentient beings are our friends. All living beings are our friends. That is in Gohengarbha Tantra teaching said. There is a close friend, intimate friend, close friend, and larger group friends, and all friends. So this is all friends. So in that way, intimate friend, and very close friend, and as well as larger group friends, and whole friends. So whoever interested to practices, whoever like to follow the teaching of the Buddha, this is to everyone, not just to individuals. And so here, therefore, two friends, all the friends. Then I put here as a beginning, and generally already in every teaching said there, to begin with this, it is extremely crucial for people endowed with good fortune to the master of the purple mind, reverse continually again and again with pure desire obtain the precious state of the liberation and omniscient, as well as relying on the light of the excellent Dharma that gathered with teaching of the exalted speech of the Buddha, the king of the subduer, the vehicle with the 9 stages, and endowed with the 3 valid ways of knowing that. So this is the summary of the teachings, kind of highlight of the subheadings of this. What I say here is saying that as I said earlier, we all really fortunate person. Everyone is fortunate. We all practitioners are very fortunate. And to have every situation and circumstances, conditions are in our side. And 18 endowments, 18 freedom, luxury to call it, really we all have that. It's so wonderful, so special. And so that this special situation or circumstance is also not going to last forever. But well, everything is in our side and with us, is very important to use this opportunity to do practices. And why we need practices? That means we're going to reverse our samsara situation. Samsara. To what? To the enlightenment status. What is our nature? Always in the teachings, our nature is enlightened, Buddha nature. But even though it's Buddha nature, this present time, this Buddha nature is not fully waked up. Why? Due to the ignorance. We are deluded. When was deluded? And that is known as beginnerless, we are deluded. But even we are deluded, nature is never changed. It remained all the time same. Nature never changes. What means nature? Buddha nature never changes. We have that bright star in our heart at the Buddha nature. never changed. But if we work for this, we can really make the difference, reveal our full Buddha natures. How this Buddha nature is diluted? How? It is diluted as like dream leg in the teaching said. Dream legs. The dream is never kind of like created by the originally. It comes like suddenly due to the situation and circumstance and our kind of habit patterns as it arises. Similarly, this habit pattern is produced by the ignorance, and then we are deluded. We are wandering in the samsara. And how long we are going to wander in the samsara? And that is until we reverse it, this delusion by the practice, by the meditation. And then when we reverse that, what? It will return back to our ordinary nature state of the Buddha nature. Then we get enlightened. We become enlightened. So in order to do that, in order to reverse our nature, and in order to reverse our delusion and bring the full bloom nature status, then we should do the practices. For that reason, Buddha gave variety of teachings. As in the teaching often said, 9 yana different levels of teachings Buddha gives those. Those are the names. I just would say names. Of course, many of you already know. Those are the first outer yanas, 3 yanas, which is known as Charvaka yana, and the Partika Buddha yana, and the Bodhisattva yanas. Those are the outer 3 yanas, which is also known as causal yanas. And then 3 inner yanas, and those are Kriya. This is then started Tantra teaching. And so those are 3 outer Sutra teaching, and now 3 inner Tantra started Tantra teaching. And the outer Tantra has Kriya Tantra, Upa Tantra, and Yoga Tantra. Those are 3 outer Tantras. 3 inner Tantra, or the secret Tantra, which is then known as Mahayoga, Anuyoga, Ati Yoga teachings. So all those teachings are known as 9 yana teachings. So now what we all have the abundance of 9 yana teachings. According our readiness, we can practice it. And for that reason, here said that we have all that vehicle stages, situation and circumstance so perfectly, beautifully, and therefore we should activate our practice and meditation with the beautiful intention and the beautiful thought and the joyful effort. So that is the subheadings of this. Then I go to the next one. It started with here. That is now actually His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche saying, Aho, listen to my friends. That's it. Aho is the expressions. In Tibet, it's a Sanskrit word, but in the teaching it says Aho means wonderful, amazing, or awesome. It's kind of like awesome, wonderful, amazing situation. Why? He said, because we have the precious lives. It's amazing, how awesome. Our teachings are valuable, how awesome. Lineage masters are also valuable, how awesome. And our readiness is also, motivation is also really ready, kind of we are prepared. It's awesome. So all these awesomes, how wonderful. So that means how my friend or my friends who are ready to activate their Buddha nature and pursue this really nature and to benefit for sentient beings, they are awesome. They are wonderful. They are beautiful. For those people, then listen here. Listen is actually, listen. Listen is in the teaching said that this, listen carefully. What Buddha, gracious teacher Buddha Shakyamuni, when he gave the teachings, what he said, in the Tibet, Lakpara Nyute, Ila Sonte, Nge Chula Fieto. Said, listen carefully and keep that what you listen in, hold in the mind, and then I will explain to you. That's the teaching said. So what that actually means, in the teaching said, even you are in the teaching, sometimes we are not listening carefully. And those are the errors of the listenings, errors or the mistakes of listening. Now, not attentively listening is like the pots are upside down. No matter how much you pour the water or liquid, it won't go in a pot. So is the errors of the listening, errors of listening. That's the first mistakes. And if you don't keep what you heard into the heart with the memorize or some by mindfulness, then it is like the errors of the mistakes not holding the teaching in the mind as the pot has holes. For example, if you pull the whole pot is not upside down, but is like regular way. Now pour in the water or liquid, but pot has a hole. Hole is just sipping away, going away. That is second mistakes of the listeners in the teaching set. The second mistakes. And then third mistake is the mixed with the emotions. While you listen to the teachings, all the different, again, emotions of our past, the present, or the future plans, again, is hovering in the brain or hovering in the mind, and a little bit of Dharma is coming too, but all mixed with that. That is liquid, or the pure liquid is mixed with the very diluted liquids, or diluted, maybe some degree, contaminated. That is third mistakes. And so for that reason, gracious teacher Buddha Shakyamuni mentioned in the teaching, listen carefully and keep that in the heart, then I will explain to you. Those are really in the teaching said, that is how you listen. You listen with attitude of how wonderful, how precious, how special. This is something that I want to do. It's going to help benefit to myself, and that I can benefit for other sentient beings. I can purify my obscurations, negativities, and we can reactivate our joy and appreciation, courage and commitment, realization and bodhicitta, inherent natures. How wonderful, how beautiful. Come to that attitude, feel the preciousness feeling, feel the special feeling. Listen, then that is called the perfect listenings. So here, His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche is saying, listen. With that, these two students who recorded that they are very earnest, they were insisted that, and so. But again, this. So carefully listen these two. Then next one is from here to up to here is this human body is the freedom advantage is difficult to obtain, and from that you must complete the ultimate aim. Until that 3 lines explaining the basic Buddhism foundation teachings. Basic Buddhism foundation teachings, which is known as then 4 points of the natures, 4 points of the phenomena systems, realities. Many times it's also known as 4 renunciations, 4 attitudes that reverse the mind from samsara to the dharmas. Those are, and is summarized that teaching, but I added these small things that you can see here. That is, the first is explanation of those 4 renunciations or 4 attitudes of first is the precious human body or precious life. Second is the impermanent. Third is the cause and effects that are inevitable. And fourth is samsara has difficulty. I think those are the 4 points. This is what here said. I adapted that from the Khenpo Tsewang Rinpoche's teaching or compiled teaching. I put this, but this is not Khenpo Tsewang Rinpoche's word, or nor my word, or any other, but those are the great masters in the Buddha's word, teachings, exactly in the highlight here. And that first one is, who said, Shanti Deva. You know Shanti Deva. Second one is where said that. the excellent display sutra. That is the Buddha's teaching. No Jachar is the Buddha's teaching, is actually Buddha's life story. Sutra that explains of how Buddha was born. Third is, in here said too, instruction to the king. That is again Buddha's teaching. And the next one is also following is Buddha's teaching. And what is? Again, this Jachar or the display sutras. The extensive display sutra says all Buddhas as well as great masters' teachings. So it's not something that, but that. So I highlighted this here that we all can see this clearly, that so it can understand. And this is also this for renunciation is condense the meaning of the first two truths of the Four Noble Truths. First, Four Noble Truths, you all know that. Again, I listed that. First is suffering truth. And the second is cause of suffering truth. Third is cessation truth. Fourth is path truth. So those are the four truths. But these four truths, we divided that in two groups. First is teachings. First truth is teachings on the samsara. Second truth is teachings on the nirvana. First truth is teachings on the samsara. Second truth of these teachings on the nirvana. Both samsara and nirvana is not happening by itself. It is happening by the cause and condition, and it is a result. Cause and conditions are known as source of suffering truth, for example, they say. Source of suffering truth. That is cause of samsara. And the result is then, what is it called? Result of the cause of suffering produced is suffering truth. So that is samsara. Samsara has a cause and condition. Nirvana has a cause and a condition result. Where that happening, where that works, that is known as, in Buddha's teaching, known as interdependent coordination or interconnected systems. This cause is not just one single entity, the objects are producing everything. No. That cause has so many, again, sub-causes. So many sub-causes. They all cooperating together. Condition is not just one conditions, entities. So many conditions. Where cause and conditions are working is completely cooperating. Magically interconnecting. Without clashing. Without bouncing. Harmonizing. And cooperating. That is known as magically displays. Where this display is happening, we think carefully, it's all happening in the emptiness status. Emptiness status. Each of those cause and conditions, sub-cause and sub-conditions, are particles. All are subparticles. Subparticles of the subparticles. So many subparticles cooperating together and together working in a way. And each of those, according to teaching, so much spaces, so much lucid. That's why they can work together. App is so much solid, everything can work. But all cooperate so magically. That's what is magic. Magic. So therefore, this first four renouncing thought is essence of teachings of the first two noble truths of the Four Noble Truths. I think you understand. First two noble truths. So that's it. And so that is what. And now so what are those? First is precious life. This is our life. is so important. It's so precious. But it is also founded in so many different things. It's not just our life is just one piece of object. There's so many variety of the things. There's the elements. 5 elements. Our body has 5 elements: fire, water, wind, earth, and space. All that with this body. And then our body is also gross level. It is what in the teaching said. 5 aggregates. Form aggregates. Feeling aggregates. Perception aggregates. Conception aggregates. Consciousness aggregates. All the 5 aggregates with the 5 elements all cooperated. It's a kind of like combination of the groove all together. It's now together. Since the groove is not just came with the groove from the beginningless time, it's newly arrived. For that means, newly arrived means for according to our age. For me, maybe over 70 years ago, is arrived. Not before. Not before. How long this is going to stay? It's newly arrived 70 years ago. How long this will be stay like this? Wish so long. That's the wish. But how long realistically how long can stay? It's all together now. There's so many not just one those five elements and 5 aggregates, but beside that there's so many other things, really. So therefore, everything, this kind of beautiful, that function and beautiful quality is so special. This body is so special. It's precious. It's so precious. It's difficult to obtain it. And then the larger level in the Buddha teaching, and here, and in the Buddha teaching, always said it's so difficult to obtain this, to compare with how many, this our life, what we call this our life, is according to Buddha's teaching, these luxurious lives. And in according to Buddhism, Buddha's teaching, there is 6 realms. 6 realms. Our realm is upper realm. And there's lower realms and upper realms. Upper realm, lower realm has 3 lower realms, which is hell realm, and hungry ghost, animal realms. And 3 upper realms, human, asura, god realms. We are in human realms. It's the upper realms. So to compare it with all the lower realms, we have so many luxuries. So many beautiful, this human life has so many luxuries, so many beautiful things. But yet, also it's very seldom to compare with according to Buddha's teaching or the Buddhism, even though they say there's so many human populations, but to compare it with the population of the animals and human population is just the human population is so small. Really, even though I will say the human population is growing and all that, but to compare with the animal populations, and the human population is so small. Among the human populations, those who are engaged with the kind of decent attitude of loving kindness, compassion, and appreciation and respect to each other and all beings, how many people do that? Even with human beings, among the human beings, how many people? But those who has a little bit decent attitude of the other beings, their lives are so precious, important, and respect, appreciation, had attitude, that is very seldom, very special. And to some degree, we all have the Dharma practitioners who are really have that, maybe not all the time, but at least the on and off valor. But Dharma practitioner has more than many other people. That is very special in Buddhism. It's really so special. So all these special qualities, we here. Now we like to make more specials for the time and joyful effort to make something special for now and for the future and more for the future. That is known as using our precious life in a meaningful way to benefit ourselves, to all the beings. And then here it said that, and if we don't use this, Great Master Shantideva said, it's translated already in here, but it's very difficult to gain these opportunities. It's difficult to gain these opportunities. Because according to the teaching, our life, or the lives of every living being, follows with the karma. So that if we don't do really nice in this lifetime, maybe our future karma will be different. And this certainly, this life situation, this life, what we are, that is the result of the past karma, according to Buddha teaching. So that means we can tell past karma is quite good, we did good things. But now if we continue to do, future will be then good. If we don't do exactly as we should do, and then our future life will be maybe not exactly good or can no. Therefore, we should really do as much as we can do good things in these lives. So that is really about the first, this precious human body or the precious lives among the four. And next one is then impermanent. This is again, generally, I think many of you know, this Four Noble Truth. The first Noble Truth, suffering truth, can be divided into four groups. Those are known as and the suffering truth is divided, now Four Noble Truth. Four Noble Truth can be divided, each of those as 4, and then that makes all the 16 groups of the, not groups, 16 truths. 16 truths, I think. 16 truths. First, Four Noble Truth is divided as, and I think many of you maybe you know, but many of you maybe did not heard that. So I will list these four. First is called impermanent. Second is suffering. And the third is emptiness. Fourth is egoless. These four are the first Four Noble Truth. Normally we call the first suffering truth. The suffering truth is divided into these four. Impermanent, suffering, emptiness, and egolessness. This is the four. How that is actually said. This is because in the Buddha's teaching, there's the first, there's nothing is solid. Nothing object is in samsara, is really solid, is impermanent. This also noble truth is Buddha's teaching, is teaching of the, known as teaching of the wisdoms, teaching of the intelligence. Buddha see exactly where things are operating on the relative level. Buddha see things exactly where things are in absolute level. And speaking that exactly as he see, that is known as wisdom teachings. So this is a wisdom teaching. Wisdom. And so the first Buddha see, all these things, samsara or everything what you see is really impermanent. There's nothing in the impermanent. This permanent has two impermanent. That is gross impermanent and subtle impermanent. Gross impermanent we all know. Every sentient being or every human being will know, or mostly. Gross impermanent. Because things, now the building collapsed. Or that person died. We see is changed. Or is getting old. Or they're getting sick. Those are gross impermanent. Easy. But the subtle is impermanent, is so subtle, our wisdom, knowledge cannot detect. So subtle. And those are known as the instant impermanent. Subtle impermanent. This gross impermanent is not just happening by that moment. It was pushed and caused by the subtle impermanent that happened all the time. That created that big change that we see, the gross impermanent. So subtle impermanent is so subtle, so refined, and there's no, what is the example or what is the characteristics of the impermanent? It said the impermanent means the moment you see, that moment changed. That is the characteristic of the impermanent. Moment it is existing, that moment is changed. It's moving. So that means, that realistically we're talking, there's nothing is sitting even 1 second. It's really moving force. Moving force. Where that happening? In the space of the emptiness. All that happening. And so therefore, many great masters say, if you have the realization of the impermanent, that subtle impermanent realization, then you won't have the ego attachment too. Even the attachment won't. Because attachment means something to holding, clinging, holding. So then a subtle change, that means not just that object is changing that way, but subject is changing like that too. There's no staying existing one instant. There's no one instant really staying. Even our consciousness is moving fast. So therefore, attachment, there is nothing substantial, solid existing. Attachment is also moving. Moving. And therefore, also the ego, there is nothing really existing in a way. So for those reasons, many times this impermanent is so special teaching. I mean, again, of course, Buddha's teaching, there is many known as lines road teaching. Not many other great masters spoke, but Buddha spoke those is very special teaching, and this is impermanent, one of the special teaching of the Buddha. Buddha, which is not making up things, or is not something that you have to believe, is happening. We can see some degree ourselves. We can validate our own cognitions. Therefore, it is a wisdom teaching. So impermanent. That is what impermanent. And then this is, I just will give really that thought. This second subdivision of the suffering truth is suffering. Why is it called suffering? It's because it's the emotions, all created by the emotions. What that means, the emotions? Emotions of the anger, attachment, jealous, and grasping, clinging, created the things. Therefore, it is trouble, is a difficulty, is a challenge, is a suffering. Suffering. Because that is what the emotions are, trouble. So therefore, it is suffering. That. And then is it empty? Third subdivision of the suffering truth, empty. What means it? Empty means everything, there is not any solid existing, and there is no behind the scene. There is no one is controlling this all situation, circumstances. There is no controllers in Buddhism. It's empty. You don't, by the valid cognition, you can validate it. There's no one is controlling. Controlling. It's empty of controlling. Controlling by any means of the powers. Itself is functioning. Itself is performing. So that is the third subdivision of the empties, of the suffering truth. In all these difficulties, troubles, challenges, there's no one is controlling. It's all displays, all happening by the cause and condition and effect systems. Then that third one, ego subdivision. Fourth one, ego subdivision. Fourth is subdivision, the egolessness. Egolessness means, again, there is no, controller of the ego existing within each of our aggregates. If you look to the form aggregates, there is no egos, the controller. That who say, "Oh, I am the controller of the ego." And if you look to the feeling aggregate and perception, conception, consciousness, each of you look, there is no controllers, nor there is not any existing egos or eyes or self. Self is all empty. There's nothing. For that reason, this is called fourth subdivision of the suffering truths. Suffering truth. So therefore, this impermanent. This is what the Buddha is teaching here. Teaching is this the gross impermanent. Here, what is it? The three realms are the impermanent, like the clothes of the autumns. It's subtle, is happening all the time. But Buddha highlight here the gross impermanent. And gross impermanent is three realms are like as impermanent. They are like the clothes in the autumn skies, always in changings. And when you look to the lives of the human beings or the lives of enemies or animals, human beings is like plays on the stages. Plays on the stage is never going to stay forever. On the such as Broadway shows, how long that Broadway show goes, that particular one, 3 hours, 4 hours. Then it's gone. Similarly, our lives and lives of the human beings, all the animals, all is just like place. It comes, it changes. It's like somebody else looking to in this world, how lives are changing, all that is really like dance or play. It's just changing so many things, one after another. So it's like for that reason. Reason is just all lives are like looking to the dance, similar with playfuls. And then our life is like it moves so fast, as like lightning in the sky, or water gushing from the steep mountains is really running, and life is so. In that way, so important. From the time we born until now, life is continually moving forward toward to that destinations. No one can stop, never going to change, is continuous. So therefore, again, in the teaching said that, well, everything is in our sight. While everything is in our reach, is so important. Really, we do some good things to practices. And that is explaining in here that practice is then, this is cause and karmas here, that the contemplate on the unerring of the cause and the effect. The sutra instruction of the king says, we can go tomorrow. I mean, of course, you will know this. It's not something that, but it said in that teaching, said that what is really, when we leave this world, what will come? What will come with us? Only that we developed with our consciousness. With our consciousness is, well, according to Buddhism, our consciousness is traveling. Our body and our everything will stay behind. We can't take anything. But our consciousness will move forward. Whatever we developed with our consciousness, that will come with us. So that is known as then, such as karmas. Every our activities, whatever performance we do, it has imprint, or it has karma. It created the habitual patterns, habituals. That habituals are registered in the karma banks. Karma banks. That karma being is alaya in the according Buddhism, or the self-consciousness storehouse. Really registered everything. So that being, that will come with us, karma. If it's good karma, that will come with us. If it's good, bad karma, it will come with us. That is really the welcome. So therefore, this is so. Here, the great Buddha giving this teaching to this, his one of the disciples, famous king disciples, which is Jarposajar, is king of Kosalas. In that time, in the Buddha's time, there is 6 great cities or kingdoms in India, and one of these Kosala kingdoms. And modern time, or not modern time, ancient time, it is also known as Sharvasta. That area is very famous. The king known as King Sajjal. Prasenjita in Sanskrit, in Tibet, is known as Sajjal. So Buddha gave instruction to this king. And that's what he said here, that translated. And that is my talk today. And then we continue to okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for participating. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Now we do the short dedication prayer, which is here. And then right after that, if you have time, you will join with our evening practices. If you don't have time, and that's it, then, but this is after this dedication prayers. In the page 19, and this. By this merit, may all obtain the omniscient. May all defeat the enemy wrongdoing. From the strong waves of the birth to origin, sickness and the death. From the ocean of the samsara, may I free all beings. May the soul from the benefit of happiness. The Buddha's teachings remain for a long time. May the victory banner of the lives of the noble ones, the holders of the teachings that remain firm. May all sentient beings always be joyful. May all the blessings of the Lord reign forever. May the wishes of all the bodhisattvas and all the women swiftly reach fruition. At this very moment, the peoples of the nations of the earth, may not even the names of disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard, but rather may pure conduct, merit, wealth, and prosperity increase, and may supreme good fortune and well-being always arise. The precious bodhicitta in those without it may it be generated. In those who have it, may it never diminish, but always continue increasing. May the great tradition of Khenpo Tsewang Lobon Padmasambhava, and Dharma King Tritsun Detsen increase and spread throughout the 3-realm world. May the appearance of the 3 jewels and the mind streams of beings remain inseparable and bring sublime well-being throughout the 3 times. Deity, mantra, and dharmakaya are the nature of appearance, sound, and awareness, the pervasive kaya and wisdom display of the Buddhas. May practitioners of the profound and secret great perfection remain inseparable from the innermost one-taste awareness of wisdom mind. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Again, thank you. As I said, if you have time, please join our practices, and if not, then we will continue day after tomorrow, I think. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.